and welcome back to my channel. Today I have got 5 top tips to help you keep your baby or toddler cool in the summer. Here in the UK we're not used to warm summers particularly. Mid-20s, well early 20s is probably classed as what we would normally have, but over the last couple of weeks we have been almost 30 degrees in some parts of the UK, which is incredibly hot. Unlike some countries, we're not geared up for it. Our homes are designed to keep the heat in them because we are pretty much a cool climate country. We don't have air conditioning, so basically we're just not ready for it. So when it comes we struggle and we're just not prepared for it. So I know a lot of my friends, and myself included in previous times this has happened, when my children are young, we tend to panic because we think we know babies shouldn't be hot, we don't want them to overheat because they're at risk of all kinds of things like seizures, and yeah, we just panic a little bit because it's not nice being warm. So I've got 5 tips today. Hopefully they'll be useful. I have written them down in my diary, so if I look down that's why, in case I forget any. So my number 1 tip would be to keep them stripped off as much as you can. So in the day, it's quite often my children are running around in their knickers or their nappies. Obviously if they're outside in the sunlight they would be covered up, so I would have them on a vest, a sleeved vest or a t-shirt, but it's quite often they'd have nothing on the bottom half, just their nappies. It's the evening, I think, that you struggle the most when you're a mum, so I think knowing what to put them into bed is the hardest part. In my mind, it is much better for them to be chilly and then add on layers later on in the evening or in the night than them getting too warm and doing it the other way around. It's much easier to warm a baby up than to cool them down. So it's quite often my children, again, they go to bed in their nappies or their pants, and that is it. Instead of their bedding, so their quilts and things, they simply have one of those large muslin sheets. I think they're called like a swaddle blanket. I kept them from when mine were newborns and I've used it for all kinds of things, but that is one of them. So it's like a really lightweight, cool sheet if they feel they need to snuggle, which Alex, my youngest, does actually, so that works well for him. And then when I go to bed later on, I check them again, check the room temperature. If it's cooled down a bit, I just pop over a sheet, remove the muslin and pop over a proper sheet. Or if it has actually dropped to a normal temperature, I put back their blankets on them. But I do prefer to start them off with next to nothing and then work my way up. Usually you find when we've got these heat waves that just the sheet is sufficed with nothing else on except their underwears or nappies. So the next one is cool baths. So we all rush out and we buy paddling pools and things, but sometimes I find that after the novelty's worn off they're not really interested, and actually you can't keep them in the paddling pool all day long because of the sunlight, especially unless you find a shady spot or it's under a gazebo perhaps. That would be fine, but sometimes it's even too hot in the shade in this country when we've got a heat wave. So I find a cool bath works just as well. They can play in there for as long as they want to, at any time of the day, which is great. I work from home a lot of the time, so I quite often set up camp in the bathroom, let the littlest play in there. He has his cars that can get wet, any toys, and he just has fun in there and it keeps him cool. I also do it just before they go to bed, so a cool bath, they'd usually have a warm bath or a shower, but I just keep it nice and cool because it gets them all refreshed and ready for bed. So number 3 is to maintain a breeze running through your house. I know this isn't possible for everybody, it depends where you live, what your windows are like for your children and all that kind of thing, but I like to open as many windows as I can to keep the air moving around the house, because we live in a dormer bungalow, so the roof upstairs is like this, so it kind of like we get a lot of heat. We've got no attic space for the heat to rise to. It all just comes up here in the bedrooms. So I keep all of the windows open, the breeze can move around all day long. Where there isn't a window, I put a big fan so that it pushes the air from the windows around, and I just find it keeps it a little fresher. Yes, it's still very warm, but it is keeping the air moving, which helps. Number 4 is the fan. So we all rush out and buy fans, but actually a lot of the time it's just shoving the hot air around the room, which isn't all that useful. Yes, the movement does feel a little bit better, but it's not ideal. It's certainly not an air conditioning unit. So what I do is I freeze big bottles of water, or I get big bowls of ice, and I put them in front of the fan. That way the fan is pushing around the cool air from the bowl around the room. As it melts, it's cooling the air around it. So that's just a little tip. It's not miraculous, but it definitely helps. I put it quite close to the children's beds, so it just, yeah, it definitely helps. And finally, I don't have many plans. That is my number one tip. So I don't like to get the children in and out of the car, getting dressed for different occasions, dragging them around the shops, back into the car, walking everywhere, because it's just too warm, and myself, I know that that's the last thing that I want to do, so why would I put my children through it? Sometimes it's necessary, so you have to work, so you have to take them here, there and everywhere, you've got your shopping to do, etc. But I try to do as little as I possibly can. So we just set up camp somewhere that's cool in the house, go outside for a while, go back into the cool, and just try to conserve our energy, because it does make us much more sleepy. So I hope that helps. Nothing particularly groundbreaking in there, but hopefully you can take away something that could possibly help you. Thanks for watching. Bye.